Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what we're going to do is take a look at the finalists. They're called the nominated in the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève. This is the 2021 version, and so without further ado, let's get started. Now these are not in the same order as they are in the Grand Prix. I sort of jumped around depending on what I thought was interesting, I guess. Okay, the first one is the Petite Aiguille. The Petite Aiguille watches are watches that are under $10,000, or I'm sorry, 10,000 Swiss francs. And there are 6 watches in each group of the nominated. And the ones they have here for the award is not one I picked. I picked the Celadon HH, but that's okay. I mean, I've gotten them wrong before. The Breitling, Garrick, Louis Arad, Psycho, Trio, Tudor. Of these, I think I like the Louis Arad and the Trilobe the best. The Garrick too, that's a nice one. I really like that also. I like them all. I'm useless in terms of after this. Well, the one I picked didn't make the cut, so I had to do something. Okay, this next group is the calendar and astronomy. Now, for me, this was an easy pick. It was the Christian Vanderclaw, and it did make the cut, as you can see. And in looking at this, I like the Arnold and Son with the big moon. Breitling's a little too busy for me. I like all of the subdials and the retrograde in the Bulgari. The IWC, I don't know. And I'm not, the Constantin Chaikin, I mean, his stuff I like. It's so much fun, I'll put it that way. But I think that out of these, the 2 I think that are really the top, I think without a doubt, is Christian Vanderclaw. Arnold and Son, though, give it a good run for its money, I think. This next group is the Chronograph, and since I don't like chronographs, I guess this is a funny one. Here's another one I missed for. I like the Parmigiani chronograph, and that's because I like Parmigiani, not because I'm crazy about chronographs. Here they have a number of them. A few years ago, in fact, maybe it was even last year, they had a chronograph with an Agenggraph movement. My God, now that's real horology. These are just okay. I mean, there's nothing too much about them that's that interesting that I can see. Maybe the Angelus, maybe the Louis Rod. I have no idea what's in those. But this group, like I said, since mine wasn't part of it, the heck with them. Now this one, the chronograph. You know, one I like the Breitling. I like sort of an interesting looking one. And of course, I like the Louis Rod, as I said. Okay, moving right along. This next group is the men's. Now, the men's group is the toughest one that there is because, 1, there's so many in it, and 2, the competition is so great. Now, if I were a betting man, I'd probably bet on the MB&F, and I do like it. It's a beautiful watch. The Moser, the Vanta Black, Alpine, it's a dramatic watch. There's probably more horology in there than you realize. That and the MB&F. Louis Arad, again, I simply like. I like the design, the Elaine Silberstein design. One that I would like to see win, but probably won't, is the Hermes H08. And the reason for this, it's very reasonably priced, and it's one of the in-house Hermes movements in it. And I'm not crazy about the dark dial. There's nothing wrong with it. I just can't. I mean, it's a little harder for me to see. I like a bright dial. It's easy to see stuff with. This next group is the tourbillon group. Tourbillon, now, I really like, oh boy, how do you say this? Chronometer, chronometry. That's what I was looking for. I think this used to be called that category, but then most of the chronometry was tourbillon, so they figured, well, we might as well call it the tourbillon. I'm really not sure why. This one was easy for me. I like the Bethune, and it's a switch over. You have two watches, which makes it cool. I was really impressed with the Louis Mornay. Usually I'm not, especially when I look inside of so. The Gerard Perregaux is sort of bringing back the three bridges and stuff, and it's okay, but it doesn't come under the most original. That's all. That's all I better say. And I like Gerard Perregaux. All right, mechanical exception. This was very, very strange. There are two clocks in there, the Mickey Electra and the Ulysse Nardine. I mean, they're both super cool, but I'm not quite sure why, and they are mechanical exceptions, how they got into this mix. Now, the two that I really like are the number one. The one I picked was the Bernhard Lederer, which is, I think his stuff has been overlooked way too long. You know, the Christopher Claret Napoleon, the funny thing is I really like it, but I'm not crazy about the, little painting on there of Napoleon and the pyramids and so forth, but, what do I know? And the Piaget Ultimatic, the big thing about those is they're really thin. The Jacob and Company, I'm not too sure about, just don't know about them. Okay, this next group is the Artistic Crafts. Now, the funny one for Artistic Crafts, again, I picked BCHH Anderson. I thought that was a really good combination. Didn't make it. But I do like the Anderson Geneve, but the one that I really liked initially was the Hermes. I don't know why. There was something nice and simple about that. I thought the Louis Vuitton was too wild to make this cut, but they did. MB&F has, they always, they have a great watches. And Wooten Lonnen, this is another thing. Wooten Lonnen's has won quite a few of the artsy and the jewelry awards. To me, his watches, of course, the main thing is the movement and the horology behind it. But this one's, this is pretty cool. I've got no idea who's going to win this one. I like the Bulgari, too. I mean, that's an interesting looking watch for Artistic Crafts. All right, this next one is the men's complication. This is a tough one because the complications are need to be really good. The one that I picked for men's complication was the Chanel. It made the cut. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, what did you get a Chanel for?" Well, because there's all kinds of interesting things with it. Up at the top, you have a retrograde, and then the next layer, you have it's a minute hand, and then below you have the jumping hours. This, and the designer, I forgot the guy's name, but one of the top designers in the world, watchmakers, was behind this. The MB&F, again, the thing I like about MB&F, or this type of MB&F, is I love movements, and so you can see the movement. You just look at your wrist, and there is this wonderful movement. Love the looks of the LUC Chopard, and I like the design with the minutes around the outer edge, and then the jumping hours down at 6 o'clock. The Audemars Piguet looks awfully busy to me. I'm not crazy about their offshores. My very favorite Audemars Piguet was their very first, clean as a whistle, super simple Royal Oak. Okay, so this was a lot of noise to it. This Bulgari is for a travel watch. I like it. I'm not, again, I shouldn't be prejudiced against the darker dials, but I have a hard time reading them. And But this one, you can see the regular time, but then all of the little, it's like a travel watch. We'll see what happens with that. Now, this next group is the divers. I don't know about the divers that they have. It's sort of an interesting group. They've had different names over time. For divers, I picked the Louis Vuitton, and it made the cut. I like the looks of it. It looks different and interesting, and it's called the Tambour Street Divers, which is it's like a desk diver, except you're hanging on outside. Doxa. I love Doxas, but every time I pick a Doxa, it loses. I quit picking them on that. The Ulysse Nardin, they won. They had one of my very favorite watches ever a few years ago. They won I think it was the sports. They didn't have divers in. They had sports category. It was called the Regatta. And the reason I like it, they had this wonderful video that goes with it. But I think here, I'll stick with the Louis Vuitton. That's the one I think I like the most of the divers. Now, the ladies' watches, my choice was the Beauvais 1822. It's really a very, very nice watch. It's not such that, it's not the most practical watch in the world in terms of there are no numbers on it or anything like that. But, you can still tell the time. The H. Mosers, a lot of the most beautiful H. Mosers are just big hunk of beautiful with no indicators on it whatsoever. The Chanel J12, I don't know why that ended up in the category. A couple of years ago, the J12 came out with a Kinesi movement that they had developed with Tudor. This one, though, just has a little, guy hanging on, or a gal, I don't know what that is. The Armand Strom. Nothing wrong with it. It looks sort of like a barely dolled up version of the guy's version. Okay. The Parmigiani Fleurier. That's a very pretty watch, and I happen to like them. The Piaget. For some reason, I think I've seen the same Piaget in several different ones. Van Cleef & Arpels, beautiful one, but I think it's quartz, if I'm not mistaken. But still, it's a cool watch. And it's okay to have that. Now, this next group, this is a ladies' complication. Now, the one I picked was Van Cleef & Arpels, because it's always a good idea to pick Van Cleef & Arpels, usually because they have an Agenor movement in it. But the Breguet Recital, the Chopard LUC, the Louis Vuitton, I really like that Louis Vuitton, the looks of it. The Montreuil KF and the Piaget, all of them are beautiful watches and the complication that they have, all of them have really interesting complications. Probably the most interesting complication is in the Van Cleef & Arpels, because they do interesting stuff like that. Now, the iconic group is a group that I don't know why. To me, it's just sort of a dumb group. What do you mean by iconic? Because it's the most popular, or popular look, or it looks like, what you expect it to look like. I just don't see that as a category. But I picked the American 1921, and it made it. For no other reason than I have one, and I really like the watch, but I don't know. I guess it's recognizable. But yeah, Tudors, yeah, they saying they all look the same. The IWC, the Audemars Piguet. The Audemars Piguet, the Royal Oak Jumbo with the green dial, that I like. That's sort of an interesting, but not, as a watch, not as anything iconic, I don't think. The jewelry group, so many of these have quartz movements in them. There's just a little bit of that Bulgari with the big snake and the serpent. That one is they've had some version of that for years. It's got a hunk of quartz in there. The Chanel is sort of interesting. You go blind though, trying to look at that little time. But these are for jewelry. Chopard is very dramatic. Same with the Hermes. It's like a Kelly bag that's made by Hermes. Piaget is all of them, and the one by Van Cleef and Arpels. I have no idea who's got the best shot in this one. Now, this is one of the most interesting categories. It's a challenge. I picked the N Nordane. I like that. It's a nice, clean watch. Another one I like a lot is Signa Design. They have some neat stuff. There's the Dox. I love Doxes, like I said, but they when they pick them, they lose. So I figure if I don't pick one, they may have a chance. The Messina Lab. Now, there was one that Messina did with Harboring 2 that didn't make the cut. But in the challenge are, I think they're under 4,000 Swiss francs. They're fairly inexpensive. What Oris did, I think, is very, very cool. Okay, I think they entered in a challenge. They made a diver's style watch, I believe, primarily for women. It's called 65 Cotton Candy. Sort of a cool name too. So those are the ones. I don't think I left out any categories. I hope I didn't. Sometimes I do. But I'd really like to know what you think. Now, in the contest we had, I think the most that anyone got and won the contest was 12, and the closest next to him was, I think, 10 or 11. I think I had 10 or 11, but you know, I always put mine in at the last minute, and because I don't want people to be badly influenced because I picked some bad ones. Anyhow, let me know what you think of these watches. And of course, I think that you say, well, how come they didn't pick this one? This is the one I like. Well, that happened to me too, so I understand that. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.